How's it going, y'all? My name is Aiden Anderson, and this is the Moscow Minutes. I'll be bringing you a breakdown of the Moscow City Council meeting from August 15th, 2022. There were two main items on the agenda this week. The first, an amendment to City Code regarding bikes, and the second, the final set of ARPA funds for nonprofits and small businesses. Let's get into it. Title 11, Chapter 3 of Moscow City Code was originally created to establish requirements for licenses for bikes, but that piece of City Code has proven largely ineffective. Therefore, the first item on the agenda was an amendment to help repeal this title and make bike licensing voluntary rather than compulsory. Some discussion ensued amongst the council about whether or not to repeal the licensing fees along with the licensing requirement, but that particular piece of discussion was tabled until later. At the end of the day, the title as read was approved unanimously by the City Council, so now that section of City Code has been repealed and the remainder of that section of City Code has been amended to reflect the changes. Next up, the last batch of COVID relief funds provided by ARPA funding for small businesses and nonprofits. As of the date of this meeting, the city had awarded $387,694 to small businesses and nonprofits through ARPA funding. They then closed the program to new applications on June 24, 2022, with a balance of $362,306 remaining in the program. They then directed staff to return with new applications and to return with those who sought funding beyond the maximum specified in that adopted resolution. So, more applications came in, some of which did not initially meet the criteria for funding, and so staff's recommendation to council was to deny funding to 3 requests and award each of the remaining new applicants the amount requested up to the maximum cap of $25,000, and then direct the remaining funds to be used in water infrastructure projects which the city needs. Now, I'm going to be going through each of these requests along with the council's decision in order. And we're going to start with those requests which the staff recommended the council deny based on the fact that they did not initially meet the criteria for the grant. So, Leta County Historical Society, while initially recommended denial, was instead granted $20,000 by the City Council. The Humane Society had their request denied by the City Council. And lastly, the Stacks restaurant had their request for $15,000 approved rather than denied by the City Council. Next up, the council heard from the new applications. Sisters Cookies was granted $15,000. Kamiak Coffee Company was granted $15,000. Palouse Habitat for Humanity was granted $25,000, and the Moscow Affordable Housing Trust was also awarded $25,000. Lastly of this group was Backyard Harvest, who requested $27,400 and was granted $25,000 by the Moscow City Council. The City Council then heard from organizations who had previously applied and gotten money from ARPA and were now seeking additional funding. Sojourners Alliance was looking for $15,000 after initially applying for the $25,000, and they received that $15,000 from the Moscow City Council. Next up, the Palouse Care Network, who had previously applied for $80,000 and had received $8,000, now sought to match the $25,000 cap that the City Council has been using, and there was a motion on the floor to approve $17,000 to them. Now, this vote resulted in a tie which was broken by the mayor, and that request was ultimately denied. Next up, Family Promise received $25,000 from the city before the council launched into a discussion over the Leta Recovery Center. There was a motion on the floor to approve $175,000 to the Leta Recovery Center, and this vote resulted in a tie which the mayor broke with a no. This was followed up with a motion to approve $25,000 to the Leta Recovery Center, which also resulted in a tie and the mayor voting no. A third motion was finally put on the floor for $100,000, and this also resulted in a tie broken by a no vote from the mayor. So ultimately, the Leta Recovery Center was denied their request. Moscow Contemporary also requested $25,000, and this vote too resulted in a tie broken with a no vote from the mayor. Next up was Inland Oasis, which requested $25,000, and that $25,000 was approved. Following that, the Kenworthy with a $25,000 request, and though a motion was put on the floor, that motion ultimately died, and the council made no decision on the Kenworthy's funding. Next up was Food Not Bombs of the Palouse, and this also resulted in a tie broken with a no vote from the mayor. Lastly was Moscow Day School requesting $17,000, and this $17,000 was approved by the Moscow City Council. With that, the city was left with $140,306 remaining in that program, and the City Council voted to direct that remainder into the Water Capital Fund to help provide for water infrastructure projects. With that, the Moscow City Council held their reports, where each councilor gave an update as to what they've been up to recently, and once that was done, they adjourned. So, that's the latest from the Moscow City Council. As always, we'll have the relevant links posted with this video, and if you have any questions, let us know. This is Aiden Anderson with the Moscow Minutes. See you next time.